it too, right?
Yeah, do your shame.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, we're back on the record, and Ms. Castagnano, I'll let you continue.
Sure. Last, but not least at all by any means, Barry Nelson.
Oh, okay. We're very excited about this. We know Barry, 0 to 50 in 5 seconds. Barry, Mr. Nelson, if you give your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, listen. You like coming here because we're a little relaxed. We're a little more fun. Just give your name for the record. It's always nice to see you, Mr. Nelson.
You guys are the best. As I was saying, this is the only reason I'm still in business. Good afternoon. It's Barry Nelson, 220 Pettit Avenue, Belmore, New York, 11710. I did hand in a packet of photographs. Board has, I think there's...
We received them up in the town board, and they will be submitted as part of the record.
Thank you very much. The board has heard substantially the subject property, the redevelopment for the downtown Baldwin area. The subject property is truly the most unique parcel probably along Grand Avenue, Sunrise Highway, both north and south of the Long Island Railroad. Why do I say that? You've heard many descriptions of the property, but I believe it's the largest and probably the only parcel along Sunrise Highway that lends itself to this type of development. You have Grand Avenue, north and south, and then you get down to Merrick Road. But Sunrise Highway is the corridor for this development. You have professional uses. You have the medical center or the patient South Nassau hospitals just to the south. Continuing south on Grand Avenue, you have the funeral home, a bank, professional offices, and uses. Most of those are in place and need supporting. You have the southwest corner, the Koch office building, which almost mirrors the building on the southeast corner. Ideally, this development will be a substantial upgrading and an improvement to both those corner parcels. If we continued west, excluding the cell tower on the westerly side of the Koch building, you get to a fast food drive-through restaurant and a substantial development of retail, which needs supporting now. That's a 85,000 square foot retail center with Best Buy, Applebee's, professional uses in that development, and another restaurant. Along the westerly side of Grand Avenue, you have the post office, 1 and 2 stories, office buildings, medical facilities, professional uses. There is substantial vacancy along in those buildings. As you continue south, you got some vacant parcels. You have retail, professional services, and you do have vacant parcels along Grand Avenue. Right down to Merrick Road, and you'd have the urban renewal portion of the BMX zone, northwest corner of Merrick Road and Grand Avenue. The easterly corridor, east of the subject property on Sunrise Highway, would include a drive-through Dunkin' Donuts, the diner, and we continue to go east for retail uses right into the incorporated village of Freeport. I've worked on many type of proposals like the subject property that have been developed throughout Nassau County and some in Suffolk County. This is a high-end quality proposal for this location, a transitional parcel for future development, both south of Sunrise Highway and north of Sunrise Highway, but none will lend itself to this type of development. It's probably surely unique in that it has frontages on Grand Avenue, Sunrise Highway, and Harrison Avenue. It'll blend in, its earth tones, and high quality. It'll include soundproofing for windows, for noise mitigation. It'll have its own services for the tenants. That'll be for the public as well, with the public park incorporated at ground level. It'll include substantial parking, which many of these other developments do not lend itself to, as the subject property does, and the proposal. Rentals, it will be a market rent development. It'll include 10% for workforce housing. Rentals include a well-balanced for studio apartments, one bedrooms, and some two bedrooms. The analysis or the studies that I've looked at would include the Avalon and Rockville Center. It'll include recently completed Island Park on the waterfront, which is near the railroad as well. It'll include Grapevine in Amityville. It'll include new developments that were constructed at similar type of amenities, density, location in the village of Mineola. The studios, and we're basing them on today's rents, and of course we do have a developer ready, willing, and able to put a shovel in the ground to make this happen for both the town and the incorporated, and the Baldwin location. The studios today are generally starting around $2,550 a month. One bedrooms, $2,700 to $2,800 a month, and two bedrooms, approximately $3,500 a month, based on today's rents, based on market rents at those developments. I also recently completed a proposal in the incorporated village of Cedarhurst and Lawrence, and they all have similar type developments proposed, similar type of density. Some provide adequate parking or ask for relief. The again, the property itself was a former car dealership, retail stores, Conway Motors. But just dating myself a little bit. It's my opinion, as proposed, this is a reasonable development. It provides a transition from the other commercial, other developments, and you heard the other developments would be north of Sunrise Highway. Visually, it's aesthetically pleasing. The interesting aspect also is that could be the gateway to many of your universities that are located in close proximity. The ideal situation is to keep your college graduates and empty nesters on Long Island. You have Hofstra University, you got Adelphi University, you have Malloy College, Nassau Community College. Students are looking for a high-end quality place to live with amenities. I can speak personally in that my children all graduated local colleges, now live off of Long Island, and I believe many of the board members can relate to that same instance. They have no place to go for a decent development that offers amenities, that is close proximity to railroad. With that said, I'm happy to answer any questions, and I will remain here.
No, we're going to keep you super late. Just you, okay? No, stick around. I got a number of questions. I know a lot of the residents have a number of questions as well.
Thank you.
Counselor?
So that is our presentation, and we'd be glad to take any questions at this point.
Great. I know we have a couple. I do want to recognize the following. Look, this project, really driven by the Baldwin community, was being put, really, the hearings were taking place during the pandemic. And I want to thank a lot of the Baldwin residents, Dave Capel, who is my co-chair, our friends at VHB, who came up with very unique and clever ways to continue this process virtually. I also want to take the time to thank Kevin Law, who sat there and worked with the state when everything else was shutting down. He worked with a lot of you in this audience here today and a lot of our entities to keep it going at a time that we were just doing stuff that nobody foresaw, the shutting everything down, but the drive was there to continue it going. So I do want to thank the counselor and, like I said, my friends from VHB and Dave and Kevin and all the residents from the civics and the chambers and all the neighbors who really, worked and came up with creative ways to get the process. So, Ms. Kashignano, I'm going to go through a couple, and then we can bring back people when we need to pinch hit. Just want to cut down to a couple of the basics here. Right now, your proposal calls for how many units?
215.
Okay, and just give me the breakdown of studio to single to double so everybody has it.
Jack, can you just tell me that quickly, please? Okay, thank you. So we have 46 studios, 138 one-bedrooms, and 31 two-bedrooms.
What are your estimated costs of each of those projected to be?
You mean the rents?
Yeah.
They're going to be market rate.
Yep.
But I would call Barry up to answer that question exactly.
I believe what I
You go for it, Barry.
was $2,550
Yep.
for the studios, $2,700 to $2,800 for the one bedrooms.
Yep.
And approximately $3,500 for the two bedrooms.
Thank you, Barry. See, that was a lot quicker. The concern I have, and I bring it up, is you have Grand Avenue, which is a county-owned road, which is going through some process, which I don't know what they're calling it right now. They're calling it,
They have to repave the whole area.
But it was my understanding also that the county was going to cut lanes that were doubles on Grand Avenue to singles for calming. They were calling it calming.
Same thing they did in Island Park.
Little concerned about the traffic flow coming up Grand Avenue. And then on Grand Avenue, there won't be any parking in front of the structure, correct?
No.
Sunrise Highway, is there parking on the southern part of Sunrise along the, there is not?
No.
But is there a lane there that cars can stop?
Is there?
Right now, I think there is parking in
Yeah,
front.
there's the existing lane, but it's not proposed for parking for our building.
I understand but I'm saying, is there still going to be that open lane that cars are going to park there?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. Now, I'm going to make my right-hand turn onto Harrison. This is a big concern for me. And I understand putting the entrance and everything there. But south on Harrison, I'm concerned about the flow. You're asking residents to come into the lots, and I know you're going to have the reconfigured numbers for us to give an updated package, and I appreciate that. One of the things I was very interested in was the fact that PSE&G wanted to put electrical underground. Knowing that intersection all too well, I think that's a real plus. I think that could really be something to really beautify it, so I'm excited about that. I'm concerned about the flow when somebody drops them off, that they're going to use Harrison as a cut-through and go south, and particularly trucks. Is there an idea to have the trucks or any kind of commercial and re-push them right back up to Sunrise Highway?
I will call Rebecca up for that to answer that question.
Who's going to Rebecca, you going to pitch in on that one?
Sure. So there's no plan as of yet. Obviously, Harrison is town jurisdiction. Left or right turns would be allowed out of that driveway as of now.
Okay, that's just a concern that maybe we can come up with some signage to try and direct traffic, if they're going to do that nice turnaround there, to go back up, to push it towards Sunrise, because that is going to be a concern, I think, for a lot of the residents on the southern tier, that they're going to feel like, hey, we're turning into a cut-through, and that's not really fair to everybody down there. Also, the fact that you're cleaning up that entire corridor, has there been any discussions with Nassau County about getting rid of the red light cameras that are going to back up during construction and everybody's going to get tickets down there and freak out? I think
Not
it's a
that we know of.
I'm going to tell you right now, as someone who has enjoyed the red light cameras here in Nassau County, I know this intersection all too well. I'm just going to put it that way. My concern is really being realistic to everybody in Baldwin. They're doing a calming concept that is going to, whatever, back you up on really on either side of it. And then you got Sunrise Highway, and you're going to have construction vehicles in there, and you're going to have workers going in there. I have a real concern that you're getting a lot of people who are just, look, they're just trying to go to the bowling alley, go to the store, go to the library. You're dropping the kids off, and they're going to get stuck in a lot of this. And then they're going to have to eat high tickets, you know, because of all the work that's being done there, where maybe, you know what, can a discussion be had with the county about possibly doing something to alleviate this potential headache for the residents down there?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that our team will definitely work closely with Nassau County and definitely make that suggestion to them just to benefit the residents.
And if they want to make it permanent, I'm sure the residents involved and myself would really enjoy that camera not being on all
Yeah,
the time.
we will bring that up and we will also keep the town posted on that.
I do appreciate that. That is a little bit of a concern because I look around and anybody goes down Grand Avenue, you know you're going to get caught in that. You're going to get caught coming north and south. But the calming lane is something that I'm concerned in because they're already doing construction on that corridor. And I went down to the funeral home the other day, and it really was a nightmare with one lane going north. So, you know, you can only anticipate what it would be like construction. I know there was a question about the actual corner. Is the bank staying there, or is that going?
So we do not, we're not in any contract with the bank building. The landowner, you know, we have made contact, has not really been negotiable with us as of yet. We will continue to try. We would like that building in itself to stay.
Sure.
And if we had any ownership or anything like that, we would improve it. But it's not our property, and it will not be at this point.
I didn't think it was, and like I said, I see this beautiful structure you're proposing. I see a lot of it. I love the fact you're changing cultures. I just don't know if it would be, you know, it would be great if, you know, the
Agreed.
neighbors didn't have to see, you know, buy or loan the, you know, the porn store right there that they don't want to see. On the
Agreed.
corner.
The same comments were meant at the IDA, that they love the structure, they don't like the uses, and we don't have control over that. If we do at some point, we will obviously revisit it and make it better.
And again, I appreciate that. Did you have some questions, Deputy Supervisor?
The questions that you asked were the ones that I'm concerned with, because some of the residents are concerned about the rent. You know, did I hear you say something about 10% of the renting would be, you know, regular folk?
That would be 10% workforce housing at 80% of the area median income.
Okay, so when you say 10%, how much is that? What does that mean?
So it would be 23 units, all in proportion. I'm sorry, 22 units, all in proportion to studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms.
Okay, but still, there are some people here, I've met someone who is very interested in the fact that with the incomes that some of them make, they would like to live there. How much would that rent be, possibly?
So those apartments would be at market rates up to the 80% of the AMI. That would be adjusted downward for those workforce units.
Okay, well, I guess I'm not asking you the right way. So you're saying 2,580 for a studio, 10% of that would be what? What
No,
would you consider as being
10%
of-
only accounts for the number of units. So it doesn't account for the actual numbers. It would be less than that. Do we have a number on that, what that would be? We don't have those numbers yet, but they would be less, significantly less, and we can put those numbers out once we have them.
Okay, yep, good, I'm sure, because the people like to know. I know some have already asked about them. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
When do you think they'll give us an update on the idea of getting rid of the electrical lines and how that's going to affect the underground parking? What do you think the turnaround for you is that?
We've been in communication with PSE&G. We shared plans with them immediately following that meeting on the 22nd of September. Our office, Cameron Engineering, did follow up with them. They still don't have a plan The update we did get at that point was that it was with their planning and engineering design, so it's still something that's work in progress. What was discussed in the field was, again, the easement that would be basically 10 feet deep into the property and 30 feet wide going in the north-south orientation on Harrison Avenue. And that easement and that underground vault would impact the footprint that was proposed for the lower level parking.
Yeah, that's just something, if, you know, a quicker turnaround would be better, so we can have that, because like I said, knowing that corner, it actually could look great, and your night picture of the lighting, you know, it really, again, adds to it. I know you talked about streetscape. You know, we've committed with our Department of Economic Development to, it's almost feel like a branding, where we're working with businesses for a lot of, you know, branding and similar designing to give the aesthetics to the commercial businesses out there. Can we kind of work with you? I would hate to see, you know, you going one way, the residents going a different, and then you have a contrast. Like I said, it's a beautiful structure. It really is. It has a lot of, you know what, it's very warm and friendly. I'd like to try and, if the community wants to try and keep it all together with that kind of warmth, that's great. But I think it's a discussion we have to continue with our Planning and Economic Development Department.
Absolutely. We'll take all comments under consideration and work with you on the greening of the project.
And then you're going to have to, and again, because part of the street is a county street, we should, you know, just like residents love to hear, we got to include the county and I guess the state as well. To just look, you know, we just want to keep everybody on the same page.
We will follow all the directions.
Okay. Councilman?
Just want to ask one quick question. So when we talk about the 10% workforce housing, that would come out to about 5 studios, 14 one-bedrooms, and 3 two-bedrooms. That would be the 22 unit breakdown, right?
Yeah.
What is the 80% income threshold for the Baldwin area for these units?
So for a family of one, 80% of the area median income is $70,000. For a family of 2, it's $81,000. For a family of 3, it's $91,000, and for a family of 4, it's $100,000, approximately. That would be the 80% of area median income. So to apply for those, you cannot have an income greater than those numbers.
Have you spoke to the residents that surround the area about the traffic pattern over there?
I know that this project was presented to the residents. I don't know that ownership discussed specifically traffic, but I know that they presented the entire project to the residents.
Okay, I know a few of them are here. If you can reach out to them when they speak later and talk about signage, what we do over there to prove it, like the supervisor said. And
that's fine. And I'll give everybody my business cards, and we can certainly meet with them again.
And that's it as far as my questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilor, were you in communication with the school district about the development?
The ownership, yes, has been in communication with the school district.
Like I said, it's, you know, it's a community that wants a lot down there, and they fought hard for it. And I think, you know, they're on the cusp of getting a lot, but I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
And they deserve it. And we have had many town halls, and ownership has been in constant contact with them and actually has further meetings scheduled, and will schedule as many meetings as necessary prior to, you know, any final project is designed.
That's great. I'm going to ask you to hang out for a little bit. We have a lot of people who submitted to ask questions of it, and I would ask your team to be available for it. So I'm going to start with, Ms. Casagana, we already talked to you. Eric Stutz. Eric? Okay, we'll see if we have to come back to Eric. Next I have David Jablin. No comment? Okay, no problem. Next I have Susan Cools. All speakers, I'll just remind you, if you go to the back, give your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon.
Name and address.
Susan Cools, 2094 Grove Street, Baldwin.
Thank you.
So as all of this has been very technical so far today, this is going to be very not technical. My family is 6 generations in Baldwin. Because we love our community. We are very dedicated to our community, but we are only one of many, many families that feel the same way. And I know you guys have heard all of this, but I want you to hear it one more time. For 30 years, we have been involved, we have been promised project after project after project. At one point, we could have had a beautiful King Cullen on Sunrise Highway with our Nunley's carousel. They were going to buy it and keep it there. But, you know, everyone got caught up on little technicalities. Not saying these things aren't important, but instead we got an ugly Pep Boys. There's just been promise after promise, and nothing has ever happened while we've sat back and watched the rest of Long Island be developed and see all these beautiful projects, communities turned around, but not Baldwin. For some reason, never Baldwin. So I think we're closer than we've ever been. I do understand that there are concerns by homeowners, by citizens. Hopefully those things can be worked out. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, but our community needs this. I'm asking all of you that are sitting there before us to please finally be the group that is able to say, we were the ones that actually got this done for Baldwin, whereas all the other groups that came before us just made promises, empty promises, and didn't follow through on any of it. So I'm asking that of all of you, and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to call Michelle Oder. How you doing? Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Michelle Allen Oder. I live at 757 Bixby Drive in Baldwin. My street is right on the corner of Harrison Avenue. I'm just going to give you an example of my typical day of trying to get off of Bixby and onto Harrison. To come here this morning, I was almost broadsided by a car at the stop sign at Harrison and Baldwin, because Harrison Avenue has become this major thoroughfare between Sunrise and Merrick. And I am so excited about this project because, like Susan, I would like to see Baldwin revitalized. I'm living here for 37 years, and I am also continually frustrated by the fact that I've watched town after town in Baldwin, Bayshore, you name the town, revitalized, and Baldwin is just left to deteriorate. However, my biggest concern is that I would challenge everyone who presented here today to go get a lawn chair, get their lunch, sit on Harrison Avenue, and see what the reality of the traffic is on that road. I do not see anywhere that if you have 215 units and you have 2 people in every unit, you have 430 additional people. If you have 3 residents, you have 645. If you have 4 residents per unit, you have 860. Harrison Avenue cannot accommodate the traffic that it has now. 2-hour parking for the Long Island Railroad. I have people constantly loitering in front of my house, throwing garbage on the street. I'm constantly having to chase people away, and we don't have this gigantic building. Somebody has to revisit the Harrison Avenue entrance for the residents, UPS, the garbage. It is an impossibility for that tiny road and all of the residents, and there are other people here that live on Harrison, to even conceptualize how that is going to happen. So I think that while I am very excited about the project, I am terrified over the impact it's going to have on Harrison Avenue. So I wonder, do I need to leave an extra 45 minutes to go to work every day because I will not be able to get off of my street? You have Dunkin' Donuts across the street. I'm sure the owner of Dunkin' Donuts will be thrilled over the increase in revenue, but does he live in Baldwin? Is he going to have to come down Harrison Avenue? You have the police station on the other end of Harrison and Merrick. The police come flying down the road all day long. Cars never stop for that stop sign on Bixby Drive and Harrison right now. I anticipate a veritable nightmare. And I think that that needs to be the number one thing that needs to be addressed, is that entrance onto Harrison Avenue. Figure out a way to get it on Grand Avenue, figure out a way to get it someplace else. But I think that the residents on Harrison Avenue deserve the respect, that we're homeowners, we take care of our property, we take pride in our community. And I will not want to live there if I have to deal with that traffic on that road every day.
Appreciate you coming down and raising your concerns, Ms. Oder. Thank you. Susan Rueck? Okay. Kelly Costabile?
Hi, Kelly Duggan Costabile, 2315 Harrison Avenue. My questions do regard parking. Also, could you please explain where that entrance is going to be, possibly like in relation to where Dunkin' Donuts is or where the electrical outlets are going to be, just so I can, because I'm only a few doors down. So from my home, I could probably see the entire building.
Why don't you go up to the mic and addressing her concerns? Thank you.
So the main entrance is just directly north of the South Nassau office building that has an ingress and an egress driveway on Harrison Avenue. It would be just north of the ingress driveway. So literally the southeast corner of the subject property.
Okay, and then there's also a vacant lot.
The vacant lot is 110 feet south.
And is that where the driveway is going to be, to go down?
So on the approximately 60 by 100 lot, the only thing that's proposed there is 12 surface parking spaces. It does not have access to the main parcel on Sunrise Highway.
Okay, so those are additional visible on the street?
On grade, yes.
Okay. The next question would be in terms of, are you naive to think that of those 215 units, that there's only that 282 parking spaces are going to be adequate? Because the reality is most households do have more than one car. Are you going to limit that? And then where is that overage going to happen? I am excited about this project as well. Could we consider more underground parking that's not visible if we have to increase that? And then additionally, how would this affect people on Harrison Avenue? Our property taxes, are we subject for increases? Might we be able to have a courtesy for a reduction in our property taxes, especially during all of the construction portion of it? And I am concerned, again, with traffic because, as you said, Mr. Clavin, Grand Avenue was proposed to go down to a one-lane traffic, which to me sounds crazy, since that is Baldwin's main thoroughfare. And it already, if that's going to happen, where Harrison Avenue is going to be the likely street that people are going to go down. So if there's a way for us to just pivot, try and think of alternatives, maybe go the opposite way, not just to Harrison, maybe go the opposite and around Central. What can we do? There's got to be ways for us to, let's think positively, think smart, and try and get everybody on the same page to get this to happen, because Baldwin is blight, and we do need something to happen. Or otherwise, it could be considering something in between without assuming that the bonus density is taken. So something between 1.5 and 1.91. I don't know.
Again, I appreciate you coming in. I'm going to let them respond. I do appreciate the fact that you want to see development, but there is the concern about the traffic. And Ms. Casignano, Has the county given you the plans of exactly what they plan to do on Grand Avenue with this calming they intend to do?
They have not.
Okay, and this is just, I think that's something we have to bring to the table with the county. Like I said, I was recently down there, and I hate to say it, to travel a 2-block radius, it took me almost 15 minutes. And that is a concern for me.
It's a concern for everybody, and I'm hearing that from the residents too, that the traffic is an issue. You know, our engineers are going to work on it with the county. And I also want to say, you know, it is a TOD, so we don't expect each unit to have 2 cars. You know, we do expect a lot of empty nesters and millennials mostly to live there and commute to Manhattan. But taking that into consideration, I agree with you. We need to work together with all the engineers at the county, our own team, the town of Hempstead, and, you know, we'll come up with the best possible solution for the community.
I don't know when the county came up with this calming effect, but I don't know if they really were thinking it out with the potential of development on Grand Avenue, because we have a lot of different projects that potentially go there. And it's a legitimate concern that we don't want the other streets to become, you know what, the mini Grand Avenue.
Right, exactly.
You know, and I would appreciate maybe even setting them up a meeting with our engineering and Nassau County and asking them to be realistic and relook at this, at what they're doing down there. And again, that kind of goes back to my initial point about your team looking at a way or a mechanism to divert traffic when it's a circle. You know what? To push it north onto Sunrise Highway, because this is definitely going to be, and I knew this is going to be the concern with residents who already are seeing, you know, high traffic going through it, that they're going to be even more concerned that with these cars coming in, everyone's going to try and use it as a cut through to avoid it. So that's something I think your team has to kind of look at.
I agree. I think the county will have to revisit it, and we'll definitely bring all of their concerns from today to them and let them know before you start any project, you should look at this.
And I would say to any of the residents, again, Ms. Koch, I know you appreciate this. I'm going to ask you, maybe you could give out cards to everybody. So that would be great. That's a big thing, and is about talking directly and sending those emails. Just because I said, you know, what you're saying, you know, you're supportive of it, but you have legitimate concerns, and if we have to, you know, kind of delicate balance of the whole thing, and we want to make it livable. And I love the fact that, but you're also passionate about seeing some real great things happening in Baldwin. So I appreciate you following up with her as well. Thank you.
No problem.
I do have.
We keep it to 3 minutes. Sorry. No, sorry.
About the power lines. Is it going to be from Sunrise Highway to Merrick Road throughout the whole street on Harrison, or only?
I'm going to let Miss, you know what? This is my question. This is your question. Hey, about those power lines that are going to be going down there, is that just in that general vicinity of corner, or is it a different area?
It's just the 3 poles that are along the subject property's frontage on Harrison Avenue.
Okay, all right. That was a good question I asked.
In addition to the poles on Sunrise, sorry.
Okay. Next, I have Patricia Norberto. No comment? Okay. Kenny George? We have a fire somewhere. Gina Rodway? Rodway? Good afternoon, Ms. Rodway. If you just give your name and address, that'd be awesome.
Good afternoon. My name is Gina Rodway, and I'm at 2339 Harrison Avenue. And basically, I'm in agreement with the issue of density and the issue of congestion. There is the police department going down there. There is the school bus going down there. There is the South Nassau parking lot right next to this particular project also going down there. Of course, my concern is that Harrison Avenue is too small a street for anything to survive going down that street. No one will ever make it to any of the other sides of that street. No one will ever make it to Merrick Road, and no one will ever make it to Sunrise. And as far as density is concerned, at this particular point in time, we do have people walking off of the railroad and walking down the street. I see in my mind a whole bunch of people walking down the street on Harrison Avenue. I just see congestion. And I really would appreciate if we could get together and talk about this. I love it. I think it's wonderful. That one issue is what's bothering me.
I hear you loud and clear, and I thank you for coming down. I appreciate, the exchange with Ms. Castellano right now. Next, I have Eric Muller.
Good morning, Board. Good afternoon, I should say. Eric Mahler, 1030 Merrick Road, Baldwin, New York. I just prepared a little bit something for notes because a lot of stuff is spinning through my head. I can't believe we're finally here after a lot of empty promises, as previous individuals have said. Been a lifelong resident, 12 years as Chamber of Commerce president. I fortunately had someone take over last fall, and now I'm back to it after a 2-month hiatus to move to beautiful Florida. But I'm extremely familiar with downtown revitalization, especially Baldwin. I've been promised this since 1998 through various administrations, from a Tom Swazi bus ride through the blighted Grand Avenue to other photo ops and promises of other elected town and county officials. But nothing has ever been delivered. This is not, obviously, I've grown up here my entire life. I would love it to be a 1- or 2-story building, but that's not the reality of the situation. We are blessed to have such an amazing developer come to Baldwin and willing to invest over $100 million into this blighted community that I call home and many others call home. The reality is we don't have anyone else knocking on the door. I'd love to be picky. I'd love to be able to have pipe dreams and bike lanes and all this other stuff that we talk about, but that's not the reality. The reality is we have someone ready to break ground, ready to invest in the future of Baldwin and downtown, and we desperately need help in Baldwin. The Baldwin Chamber of Commerce is 1,000% behind this development. When it was first initially presented, we went out in front of Gallifresh, and in the first day we got 300 signatures just in a 2-hour window when we presented the proposed project. That was just a couple of hours of volunteer time, not paid. We did an online petition. We got several hundred within the first week, and that was a year or two ago. I just presented Mr. Orwasher another 250 that I had sitting in my office that I just happened to find. These are active individuals in the Baldwin community that want this development project. We expect, as a chamber, an increase in customers, an increase in revenues. The fact that the Breslin Realty Company is going to turn an ugly, vacant, weed-filled storage of cars, which are illegally there for years, and maybe a polluted lot, into a gorgeous, modern, well-designed economic machine. We implore the town board to definitely, without hesitation, move forward on this project. I understand the concerns of Harrison Avenue residents. I have a lot of friends on Harrison Avenue. There may be opportunities not only of the police actually enforcing the law of speeding, blowing through the stop sign at Bixby, which I'm guilty of as well, but that's the reality of it. This is for the greater good of Baldwin, and I would, there we go. I want you.
That's okay. You got it down to almost 3 minutes.
Yep.
You've been coming down for a long time doing it, and we understand your support of it, and we hear you loud and clear. And like I said, you've always been passionate with the chamber, so we'll keep everybody in the loop. And like I said, you're not a shy guy. That's all I'll put about you. All right. I mean that in the nicest way. Next, I'm going to bring up Jack Raker.
He spoke, he's the architect, so.
Oh, okay, I was going to say. Okay, he's from Baldwin, good for him. Victor Suducchio? How'd I do? Come on, man, be nice, will you? All right, can you give the proper pronunciation of your last name and address?
Hi, good afternoon, board. My name is Victor Sugdeo, and I'm a Baldwin resident, 710 Foxhurst Road. I'm also a Baldwin business owner. I own Park Assets Real Estate Corp. on Grand Avenue. And I also own real estate on Grand Avenue, mixed-use buildings. So I'd just like for it to go on record that I'm full support of the Breslin Development Project. Our downtown area is distressed, and this project will beautify our town with a modern design. I believe many of our residents raised good questions today in reference to the traffic on Harrison, and I think a good suggestion would be maybe considering making that into a one-way. I'm not a traffic expert, but I think that would be a good suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming down, Victor. Next, I have Gina. I already called you. They had you down there twice. That's okay. Walter Sieber, but he might be with you. Gotcha, gotcha. Next, I have Stephen Greenfield.
Stephen Greenfield, 2336 Harrison Avenue. I guess I'm a new person. I've only been involved with downtown development for 10 years and met with 2 other developers and met with the Breslin folks early in the process. I'm here speaking on behalf of myself and my wife. We're under the impression that this project would be capped at 200 units after we'd had some negotiation with the developer. And I would like to encourage the board to keep that limit. Going up to a larger number just adds to the stress on the community. I do like the design. I'm in favor of the project. I, too, have concerns about traffic all coming on to Harrison. My particular concern is that when you come out of the underground parking and make a left turn, people will be held up by the people at the Dunkin' Donuts, and they'll wind up being in the left lane, and anyone turning right, you've got a potential accident situation. So the suggestion of making Harrison one way may make some sense. I don't know. I would like to request that the Baldwin community, the Civic Association, be involved in the determination of how the community benefit is utilized, the $250,000 that was mentioned. And just a suggestion to the developer that I heard no mention about bicycle storage, but I think if we want to encourage less car ownership, it would be good if there was some secure bike storage so people aren't hauling their bikes up an elevator. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. Next, I have Karen Montalbano.
My name is Karen Montalbano. I live at 2611 Park Avenue, Baldwin. I am the government liaison for Baldwin Civic Association. I wanted you to note that the BCA has always wanted to see this property developed. We'd like to see this project done. We have written a letter of support from the Baldwin Civic Association in support of the 200 units that had been discussed originally. I appreciate the comprehensive presentation today. It has answered many of my questions. We had some discussions with the developer, and they have taken into account widening the sidewalks, burial of wires, which sounds great. Look forward to see what we can do with the $250,000. I thank you for that. As for the Grand Avenue thing, I'll just add that that is a Grand Avenue Complete Streets project, or Baldwin Grand Avenue Complete Streets project. It is currently, you're in the construction phase, so of course there has been some problems with backup. If you're looking for it, the project should be online. You could always go to Nassau County and ask them. I'm sure Legislator Deborah Muley can give you all of the answers to that. She has been working closely on that, as have I. It's funded partly by New York State, and that is where the calming aspects come in. So anybody who's looking for that information, I would suggest you go there.
Hey, Karen, just a quick question. Did they take it into account, the development, any development when they started that?
At that point, there was no Baldwin overlay zone, there was no et cetera.
That-
Except that one of the things about calming that traffic, it will be helpful to the businesses along. There are studies that show that traffic calming helps local businesses.
No, I'm
that
not,
are along
I'm
Wright
not disputing, I was just wondering if they had taken into account this project, that's all, so that's fine.
It was not on the books when this project, when the Complete Streets was formed and done.
Yeah, they actually, they're in the process now of doing a street calming project in Island Park. And similarly, it is supposed to help the local businesses along the corridor to have the traffic slow down. I was just wondering, because I don't know off the top of my head, is it similar to Austin Boulevard where they're increasing either a southbound or northbound lane and decreasing one or the other?
Okay, so the way that this is designed is that as you cross Merrick Road, it will come up to 4 lanes across Merrick Road, 1 lane north, 1 lane south with a dedicated turning lane from where the lanes narrow down to Sunrise Highway, where once again, it will widen out to 4 lanes going across Sunrise Highway on both sides, narrowing down to, once again, the 1 lane north, 1 lane south with a dedicated turning lane until you get to Milburn.
So very similar to Island Park. And then the middle are they doing a median in the middle?
No, it's a turning lane.
Okay, so the whole middle is the turning lane?
Yes.
Got it, okay. So somewhat similar minus the median, okay.
That would alleviate the north-south flow of having to wait for somebody to turn.
Right, and then are they doing the cutouts along the curb for cars to park?
Yes.
Sort of on a
And
combat parking?
The reason what they're doing is they have some bump outs.
Right.
That will make it shorter for people to actually cross Grand Avenue.
So you're
I've
not playing
noticed the bump
Frogger.
outs by the library. I think there's going to be a bump out a little bit further north in some areas. But where the fire department is, nothing is being changed so that they can have the complete turnaround that they need to get in and out of access to that fire station.
All right, yeah, so very similar to Island Park, okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Casciano, when you guys did your study, did you guys take into account the county's changes to Grand Avenue? Have you guys been in contact with the county about this?
I think I can take that. So just as a point of background,
Right.
our purview here was really to compare our project against the finding statement and the draft and the generic EIS that was already done for the entire district. That EIS and the finding statement do identify mitigation that's required at a number of intersections throughout Baldwin. So we're not saying that this project and others will not require mitigation. That mitigation is already identified. We're just trying to look at the difference between what the EIS may have considered versus traffic with the density bonus provision.
Yeah, I get, but I'm saying, so when you were putting it all together, did you know about this calming and the turning lanes and all that when you were making your determinations on some of the aspects of the traffic flow and/or the development of it?
Well, with respect to this particular site, again, because we're proposing the access on Harrison, we're not really generating traffic on Grand.
Yeah.
So it is a separate project along the frontage, but it doesn't relate to traffic with this.
My only concern is with a calming on Grand that it's going to create a non-calming on Harrison, and then you tie this in. So I'll just ask that maybe after this, Ms. Casciano and her team sit down with the county to make sure, how this is going to affect the long term. Like I said, because obviously the county started this calming effect before we had this, the development coming down here. So I just want to, if they're going to do it all, they should really kind of make it cohesive, that it kind of makes sense. So Ms. Casciano, I will again reiterate the fact I think we need to sit down with the county after this too.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to do that, no question. And as I was talking to Karen, she feels that while they were doing the GGIS, they may have already taken into account the Complete Streets project.
Right.
So we'll also talk to VHB, who's here as well, and discuss it with them. And we've already met with DPW on this project, letting them know. But we have many more meetings, that have to happen.
Grateful for that. Now I got a couple, might be your people. I got David Orzwa.
David Orwasher's ours.
Right. David Tepper.
Ours.
We got Rebecca. You got Barry Nelson. He's definitely yours. Rich Pavone.
He is available for any questions regarding fire safety.
Okay. Now, That completes the number of people who I have a record that have signed in to talk about this. Is there anybody that has not been heard that would like to speak on this matter? I'd ask you to raise your hand. Sure, if you go to the back and identify yourself and give your name and address.
Good afternoon, Marcia D. Thierry, Merrick, New York. I'm all for revitalization, but I'm also an environmentalist. And living in the town of Hempstead, any main road you're on, you know it's going to be bumper to bumper. So my concerns are pollution. I don't see any, historically, when a building was built, there were trees, there was green space, and the town actually proposed budget talking about being a green community. Did anyone ever think about solar panels to reduce electric, water conservation, bringing in mature trees to offset flooding? If you have cement, there's going to be floods there. So any conservation would benefit the people as well as the community. So you have to look at long-term, not just for today. And also with the windows, I don't think many people think about this, but bird strikes, you don't want dead birds all over the sidewalk because there's glass that they don't see. They're going to fly into it and break their necks. So anti-bird strike stickers are another option.
Ms. Kashignano, maybe you want to talk to any initiatives green initiatives you intend to have at the complex?
Yeah, I'll bring up Jack. He can discuss those initiatives.
Okay.
Hi, yeah, we have a number of green initiatives that we are utilizing in the building. I think it was spoken about, we have a green roof structure on the one end of the building that we're utilizing to mitigate some of the stormwater. And then inside the building, we have a number of green initiatives. Every unit has a programmable thermostat, so that if they're not in their unit and they go away on vacation, whatever, they can set that temperature lower and reduce, their energy consumption. We also do low-flow water fixtures and LED light fixtures throughout the project, so that reduces a lot of energy consumption as well. And then there's a number of we have some green space up in that courtyard area. It's not a green infrastructure, but it's outdoor area that is not seen, obviously, from some of these perspectives that you're seeing up on the walls there.
Now taking a look at your photo up there, if I remember correctly, and you'll if I'm wrong, you can. I don't think there are any trees or bushes on that corner at all right now. I do see from your rendering that they're actually planting a number of green in front of it to abut it if there is an offset on it. Am I correct about that?
That is true. All those landscapes, the landscaping shown in the renderings was coordinated with our landscape drawings.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you very much. I do not. Oh, yeah. See, the deputy supervisor wanted to know if you're going to put any charging stations in there.
During the course of the presentation, we did discuss that 6 EV charging stations would be included in the surface parking south of the site on Harrison at the request of the local fire department, who basically asked us to not include those within the building footprint.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Anybody else that did not sign in that wishes to be heard on this? You okay? You're taking the easy part of the program. All right. With that, I'm going to, before we make any motion, I am going to ask you to follow up with the residents. It was a very thorough presentation. I think, you know what, we find a lot of interest in the fact that removing the poles visually, aesthetically, could be beautiful. I love the fact you want to work with making sure we're doing branding. I do have concerns about, the fact of this calming was put into effect prior to, so I think it's really a time of the essence to kind of get the county in here to make sure that they're not doing something that's actually going to make this more difficult, especially if it's ever approved with construction. And I really think you should make a hard sell on this red light camera thing.
We'll do the best.
I got to tell you, I can, a couple people are shaking their heads. Listen, I'm telling you, I can see if there was ever approval on this and there was backup, everyone's going to go bananas. And, that people are very thoughtful now about the red light cameras. We all stopped 10 minutes, early so we don't get it. But I could see this being a really potential issue for the residents down there who are just trying to get south to go to the good stores and restaurants on Merrick Road or north up on Grand Avenue. Any closing comments?
We agree with your comments, and the developer, as you can tell, has taken every painstaking detail into account and will continue to work with all the municipal agencies to make this the best project it can be for Baldwin. That's what we want to do. We want to be known for the catalyst for this downtown area to make sure it's improved the best that it can be, and we will definitely keep talking to DPW and discuss those projects in terms of the traffic, and we'll also reach out again to the neighbors and the residents who are here today, among those that we've already reached out to. And we thank you for your time, and my team is very thankful, that this project, is maybe coming to light soon.
I mean sincerely, that was absolutely one of the best presentations we've had in the town. It's very, very thorough, so we appreciate that. And I know a lot of the residents appreciate you coming down and making it. They've had a lot of questions. With that, I'm going to ask if there is a motion, Deputy Supervisor.
Yes, I move the public hearing be adjourned and open until the town board meeting on November 22, 2022 at 10:30 a.m. when the board will consider the CEQA aspect of this application.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Just so any of the residents who came down here will know, we've left the hearing open until November 22nd. That means that you can, not any of you spoke already, no, I'm teasing you. You can ask your friends or neighbors to come down on the 22nd, and or they could submit any sort of emails or letters that will be taken into consideration and made part of the record. With that, I want to say thank you for all the residents who came down, and now I'm going to ask our town clerk to call the next item.
We have a decision calendar. The first decision is the application of Janton Realty LLC for a variance from the provisions of the GSS ordinance to add a canopy over an existing pump island, convert service space to a convenience store, and operate a self-service in Merrick.
May I have a motion?
I move the board adopt the item.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Aye. Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the decision calendar.
Yes, the second and last decision involves the application of Bowler Operating Long Island Corporation for a variance from the provisions of GSS District for a permit to operate self-service and a convenience store at an existing gasoline service station, which shall be raised and rebuilt, to modify and rescind restrictive covenants, and to modify a previously approved site plan in Levittown.
Do I have a motion?
I move the board adopt the item.
Second motion.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor, I hope you'll indulge me. With regard to clarity and transparency, with regard to items 6, 7, and 8, there were some questions as to the procedure. So at this time, I would ask you that you keep these hearings open and schedule them for November 22nd at 10:30 a.m. And continue those hearings, keep them open so that we'll have the experts here in order to explain to the general public, based upon the fact that these are special districts, that in order for us to move forward, we have to have these public hearings. So I'd ask you to do that. I'd ask you to.
I appreciate for a motion of clarity and people get a better understanding. Okay.
So Supervisor, I make a motion that items 6, 7, and 8 remain open and will be heard again at the November 22nd. Is that the date? November 22nd Town Board meeting.
Okay, I second the motion.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Carini.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. Thank you.